Good morning, my YouTube viewers. It is Palestine here, and I'm still visiting my boyfriend's mother. So I'm making this video from her spare bedroom. And this is a video that I wanted to make for a long time. But again, it deals with YouTube's community guidelines, and a lot of people have lost their channels uh, because of these community guidelines. One was Janine, was Tarot by Janine. I think she lost her channel because of that, and I think a lot of people who are tarot readers on YouTube, they have lost their channel because it went against community guidelines. And basically what I wanted to talk about is can sensitive people predict illness or cancer in this situation? And I'll tell you honestly, I used to go to psychics, but I can't anymore. I don't have the money. And one thing that I found out was when I was going to them was that they were not always accurate. A few of them were accurate, like I was going out with this Iranian guy when I worked at Foster Wheeler, and he was crucial to the gang stalking that I experienced at Foster Wheeler. And so I was distraught. I didn't know what to do. And they just said, I would ring a psychic hotline, and they just said it's nothing but a platonic friendship. And that's what it turned out to be, because he didn't want to be touched. And since he didn't want to be touched, it was nothing but a platonic friendship. And she said he needs to see a psychiatrist. And that turned out to be true, because as I got to know him, I found out that there was a very sinister aspect to his character. And again, some of the things that he did, I can't discuss on YouTube because of community guidelines. And basically, so whenever I would go to see these, ring psychic hotlines, and I've gone to see psychics in the past, sometimes they were accurate and sometimes they weren't accurate. One of the ladies who was a psychic, I went to see her when I was in my late 20s, and what she said didn't come true. That's just what I'm going to say. That I was waiting my whole life for what she said to come true, and it didn't come true. Some of the things that she said came true, because she told me the man that I married, the second husband, I married him just because I wanted to get my son back. And I thought if I could get married, then I could get my son back. And then she said, he's not the one for you. You'll have to work every single day. And that turned out to be true. He wasn't the one for me. And I found out a lot of things about him that weren't very nice. And again, he was leading a double life that I didn't know anything about. And because of YouTube's community guidelines, it's hard for me to say what he was doing. And then, but when I was, and then this Iranian guy that I was going out with, they were right about that. They were right saying it's just a platonic friendship and he needs to see a psychiatrist. One thing she said is you'll bump into him on the bus and it'll be as if you never met. Well, I haven't bumped into him on the bus yet, so but again, it would be as if we never met. And then for some reason, although I never tried to contact him at all, tried to contact him at all, for some reason that I don't know anything about, he apparently has blocked me on LinkedIn. He used to be on LinkedIn. And then when I was writing a piece about my former employer, Foster Wheeler, I was just looking for him. And I know he's got his own business because he's with Companies House website. But he's blocked me on LinkedIn, and I never tried to contact him, and I never did anything to try to make contact with him at all. But for some reason, he felt like he needed to block me on LinkedIn. And I wasn't his friend on Facebook because the things that he did hurt me so much. I didn't want to be his friend on Facebook anymore. But he did say he is mentally ill, and I don't think even a psychiatrist can help him, because I don't think that you can cure mental illness. And I think that, and he told me he was crazy, and a former police officer told me, he said, if somebody tells you they're crazy, you need to believe them. So some of the things that the psychic said about this Iranian boyfriend were right, and the thing that this woman in the Netherlands said about my ex-husband were right, but the other things that she said, they never came true. So I don't know if like we're living in a parallel life. So in another life it would be true, but in this life it's not, because a lot of people say, like, you've got clairvoyance like Edgar Cayce, and then you've got this discarnate entity called Seth who spoke from Jane Roberts. They say that you've got all these different branches of life. So maybe in one branch of life it came, this what they said came true, but definitely this branch of life that I'm living in, it hasn't come true. And so I'm approaching the end of my life. I mean, obviously I got cancer, so I'm coming to the end of my life, and it hasn't come true, and I just have to accept that it hasn't come true. But one thing that I wanted to talk about was, this was about close to around 15 years ago, when I was walking on the street in the town that I live in, and they had a sign that said, we'll give you a psychic reading for £10. And I thought, okay, well, I'll go get a psychic reading, because this is when I was having all of these problems, which in the last video I made, I said, do root canals cause cancer? Well, my face was swollen and nobody could, and then my nose was swollen and I couldn't breathe out of my nose, and nobody could tell me what the problem was. So I went to this, it was an Indian guy, and he called in another guy. He said that I had really bad numbers. My numerology was really bad. So that wasn't a good sign. And this guy, he was Indian guy, and he said that they're never going to find out what's wrong with you. And that turned out to be true. They didn't find out what was wrong with me. I figured it out on my own when I had to have like all of these teeth extracted. And the dentist told me that the teeth were infected. Well, this was the dentist that had done all that work. So if my teeth were infected, it was up to him. It was up to him. He was the one that had done all this work, and he did all that work for my teeth to get infected. And so I'm sure he's not going to take any responsibility for the infection in my mouth. But when finally they extracted the teeth so I could get an implant, finally the infection went away, and you can see that the bottom side of my left side of my face is no longer swollen. So I sort of had figured out on my own that it was my dental work that was causing the swelling in my face, causing me not to be able to breathe through my nose. And true, they never found it. This psychic was right. He said they're not going to find it. And then I found it on my own, 14, 13 years later. And then again, we talk about breast cancer. So infection causes inflammation, and inflammation causes cancer. So I said in my video that I made yesterday that I thought that the inflammation from the dental infection had caused my cancer. If it didn't directly cause it, it was a contributory factor. And so then he started trying to get money out of me. He said, there's something. I said, well, what is it? He said, they're not going to find it. And I said, well, what is it then? He said, something deep inside of you that's been inside of you for a long time is waiting to unalive you. And he didn't use those exact words, but because of YouTube's community guidelines, that's what I had to say. So, and I didn't know what it was. So I went and told my Iranian boyfriend, and my Iranian boyfriend got mad because he wanted to unalive me too. That's just how sick he is. And he said, he phoned the guy up and he said, you shouldn't be saying these things to these people. She's simple-minded and you shouldn't be telling her these things. And then the psychic said, he said, well, these people come to me of their own free will. And so, but I didn't know it at the time. My Iranian boyfriend was not looking after my best interest. But I know that now, that he wanted to unalive me as well. And that just tells you what a sick person he is. So I don't know. And then this psychic, he tried to get more money out of me, and I wasn't prepared to give him more money. So I don't know. I don't know if he was just making it up, but he was right when he said they won't find it. They didn't find it. And he was right when he said it was something deep inside of me, because the cancer was deep inside of me. I didn't even know that I had cancer. They picked it up in a mammogram. So that concludes this video, where I just wanted to pose the question, do sensitive people, are they able to predict illness? And I did actually look it up on Google, and it said sensitive people, like psychics, that they don't talk about health, probably because they could get sued if they talk about health, so they don't talk about health. But I just wanted to relate some of my experiences with psychics, and sometimes they were right, and sometimes they weren't right. And now I'm just waiting for the end of my life, really. The life that they said I was going to have didn't happen. And now I'm just waiting for the end of my life. So that concludes this video. If you like my video, please like and subscribe. And I'll be looking forward to making some more videos for you very soon.